Happy Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Welcome and welcome back to another Q&A Wednesday. I'm your host, Intelexx, and we're going to get right into it. All right, so for those of you who have not tuned into this before, make sure to check out our previous episodes for this topic that we've been on. And I think it's a great and necessary topic because not too many of us are doing what we need to do. All right. So the topic that we have for this month is how can we heal ourselves part 3. Now, not enough of us are doing what we need to do so that we can heal. So we are operating from a place of hurt, but we're going to get whole together. All right. So it would be a shame to bleed on somebody who never cut you. So let's make sure that we are doing what we have to do to make sure that we are coming up as our best selves, no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, no matter who we're with, no matter where we go, that we show up our best selves, healthy, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, all the areas, financially. Okay, we gonna show up our best selves this year. All right, so are y'all ready to get into this? All right, and shout out to you. This is your first time. Shout out to you if you are on your way back because you like what we are putting down here and you're picking it up and using it for later. Appreciate you so much. All right, so we're gonna get into it. These are some signs that you can pick up on. All right, so let's get into it.
Hey, Psych2Goers. Whoever said sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, forgot about emotional wounds. Ever stop to wonder why that forgotten birthday still hurts, even though it happened many years ago, or why you still stay awake at night wondering why someone backstabbed you in high school? Those are emotional wounds that have not healed. Unlike physical wounds, they aren't visible and we don't have a surefire, simple band-aid for it. The good news is that healing these wounds takes a few different tactics that we may not have thought about before. So let's go through how to recognize that you need that emotional first aid kit and how to use it. Number 1, being alive, but not living. Sure, being alive can be clinically spelled out in cool terms. Your heart is beating, you're able to remember your name, you can perform work functions, you eat food, and you sleep at night. But living is different. It's when you follow a passion, do fun things, and do anything outside the bare necessities. Maybe you've lost a loved one, and since then you felt undeserving of happiness. So you cut yourself off from all these things. And before you know it, you start living in survival mode. You're alive, but not really. Step back, look at the situation. Understand that you have a right to grieve, to be angry, to be hurt. Connecting with others can help you understand that living your life is not causing these things to happen. You may, in fact, find that not living your life is in fact hurting those around you who are still there for you and care about you. Number 2, being disproportionately angry or sad or emotional or Emotional wounds are wounds. When wounds are still tender and raw, a breath of fresh air can feel like fire. You know yourself. You know what normally gets to you. And when you start getting angry at things where 2 seconds later you think, what was that all about? Why did I yell at them? That's a sign of a possible wound that needs attending. You might not even be getting something directed at you. You could be looking at random paint colors and suddenly you're sobbing. You're not losing your mind. It's your emotions trying to communicate to you, saying, hey, you have some processing to do so we can get to healing. It likely means that there's something that hasn't been fully acknowledged and dealt with. It may be perceived as embarrassing or you thought you were done with it. But if you're still emotionally everywhere, perhaps it's time to take a second look and acknowledge these emotions. Number 3, you can't stop replaying the situation over and over. Admitting the situation and talking about it is good. You have to admit that it's there for it to be healed. But if you keep talking about it without direction or purpose and on repeat, it's gone from helpful to harmful. So when talking about the situation or assessing it, always ask yourself, what am I getting out of talking about it? Is there something I still don't understand that will help me move to the next step? And ask yourself honestly if you're repeating things because you're denying what you already know but hoping to get a different answer. This is not closing a wound, it's reopening it and undoing all the hard work you've done before. Number 4, self-growth stunted by fear. Part of living or experiencing life is continuing to grow. Learn and reach out. Being hurt emotionally can make you hyper-aware of other intense emotional opportunities. For example, if you were in a harmful relationship, you may stop getting into relationships where you feel deep emotions. But you're robbing yourself of the life you deserve if you do this. You deserve to learn and grow despite the ups and downs that have come. It's normal to fear the unknown and the what if, but having the courage to grow anyhow is worth it. We're not saying don't fear, because that's inhuman. It's how you deal with it that matters. Understand your fear and recognize that the bad thing is not the only option that will happen. Recall, remember, and recognize all the factors that are on your side. Realize that these factors exert just as strong a force as anything else. Do what you need to give yourself the best chances possible. It could be having a backup plan, or it could be a different approach from the one taken before, but you can do this. And number 5, sleep schedule. What sleep schedule? Have you been losing sleep? Even when you haven't been downing caffeine or stay awake meds? If so, something is going on emotionally. Ironically, getting good sleep is one of the things that will assist with healing that wound. So, tackle this by getting yourself an honest-to-goodness routine. That's right, sleep prep. Here are a few suggestions to get you started making your own personalized routine. No food or electronics 1 hour before your goal sleep time. Meditate to calm and quiet your mind. Sip some warm tea with natural calming agents like chamomile. Sleep helps your whole you recoup. Persistence and courage are required to heal emotional trauma. Many of us can agree that emotional trauma cuts deeper and lasts longer than most physical injuries. With something so complex, it's easy to feel like we have no choice but to hurt forever. But that's not true. If we can choose to put in the time and the effort, we can choose to heal, and we don't have to do it alone. To navigate this journey, it's normal and even encouraged to speak to the guidance of a seasoned professional. You are worth the time and effort. Don't rob yourself of the best life you could live. How do these points resonate with you? Please feel free to comment and discuss any methods you've tried or things you're puzzling over. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.
All right, what did y'all think about that? I personally like the visuals. I think it's easier to absorb when you see it a certain way, right? And so I think this was really good when it came to showing you different signs that you need to heal from some trauma. All right, so if you are lashing out on people, 5 seconds later figuring out like, dang, why did I do that? What's going on with me? You could be in the middle of something and have an emotional outburst. Like, all of these things can be signs that you still need to heal from some trauma. And so unhealed emotional wounds, all right, wounds are still wounds. They still need healing. All right. So being alive and not living, right? There are so many of us who are just going through the motions, living in robot mode, doing the same thing over and over again, but there's no feeling behind it. And there is, no joy in it. It's just, oh, I'm just doing, it's another day doing the same thing over and over. Like, we gotta get out of that. Gotta start living, enjoying your life, doing some things that you enjoy, doing anything outside of the regular norm, right? Taking that walk, going to the park, going to the aquarium, going to a museum, going to a festival or something that really sparks your interest. Do that, because life is not going to stop for you, and life is not going to stop when you stop living. Keep living despite what you might have gone through. And I know in the video I talked about maybe losing a loved one, or something happening to where it kind of made you feel like you had to stop your life because you don't deserve to keep living, you do deserve it. So keep living. Despite what you might be going through, despite that hurt is only temporary. Okay. Connecting with others is a good way to get a different level of understanding of what you might be going through. Just know you are never alone. There's always somebody out there who knows exactly what you're going through. So for you to say no one understands, that's not true. Somebody understands. You might not be connected with them yet, but somebody does understand. All right, so just keep that in mind that there will always be somebody who understands you, even to an extent, what you're going through. So you don't have to go through the healing process alone because even though it is healing, it is painful, but it is worth it. Okay. Also, how emotional wounds are wounds. And depending on how fresh they are, you'll see a different side of people. Depending on how old they are, you'll see a different side, and how long someone has been on their journey, you will see based on how they act. All right, so don't be surprised if somebody started lashing out on you because you done triggered something that just happened recently or happened years ago that they haven't completely gotten over yet. So, keep that in mind. Be mindful. We are all human. We are all on this journey. We are all living or existing. Some of us are living, but we are all on different parts of our journey. So, be mindful because you never know what somebody is going through. Everyone is not vocal about their struggles, everyone is not vocal about their wins, so just be careful how you treat people because you never know what part of their journey they're on. And if they snap on you, you might just be getting a residual effect of something that might have happened prior to you. Okay. Talking is therapeutic. It can be with direction and purpose, not just you talking about the situation, because after a while you're just dumping on someone else and there's no solutions behind it. Make sure if you are talking about what's going on with you, that you are open and willing to hear some solutions that will help you during your process because nobody wants to just be dumped on when it comes to having um a conversation and it's just like, oh, this what happened to me, that happened, this happened, that happened, and then you just brought down the whole conversation, but that's all you want to do is talk about it. No, let's figure out how you can be better in this season, how you can heal from this, how you can move on from this. What are some solutions? What are you doing? Here are some ideas. You can take it or leave it, but we're not just going to sit here and just wallow in all of your speech. That's only the first part. What are you going to do about it? Is the next step. Okay. Also, self growth. Okay. So we all deserve to grow and to learn, but you have to be willing to get to that point, right? No one can want it more than you. So be willing to learn, be willing to grow, and know that you could do this. Having a sleep schedule is another thing, right? Get some good sleep. You go without sleep for too long, you start acting a little loopy, a little crazy, right? We all need sleep. Okay, so make sure to get some good sleep because sleeping actually helps to heal that wound, right? So make sure. Oh, I only need 3 hours. I only need 5 hours. Make sure to find a day where you can get a little bit more than that so you can help heal those emotional wounds that you got that you might not realize you have or that you have that you are avoiding. Okay. And then create a personalized routine, right? Put the electronics down for a little bit. Have persistence in order to heal that trauma, right? Get a good schedule going and follow that schedule. And if you get stir crazy, change it up a little bit, but don't lose the basics. All right, so I want to take a quick commercial break to talk about Intelexx. So we're here to help you with all of your artistic needs. So if you do need any type of assistance from us, go to Intelexx.com, book a free consultation. Listen, we have so much going on here, but if you need help, we will take the time out to make sure that you have what you need. We'll have a customized plan for you so that you can hone in on those skills and do your purpose and walk in that and do your art and all those things so that you could be your best and your unique artistry. Okay, so we just want to help you do that. So make sure to go on there and get your free consultation and get whatever services you need while you're there. And if you want to be a part of the intellectual community, go to the Entrepreneurs Hub, search under the Mighty Networks app, go in your Apple Play Store, create an account. Once you create that account, search for us, and we are right there. There's also a link on Intelexx.com, so make sure to connect with us. Right, we'd love to have you. All right, so we're going to get right back into how can we heal ourselves. All right, so let's check out this next video and see what you got to say about this one.
How quickly can we heal something that's been inside of our body, inside of our mindset for decades that we've never let go of?
Yeah.
And it's a part of us. How quick are we able to do that from past trauma?
Yeah. Well, here's the deal with trauma, and it's kind of an interesting thing because when you're traumatized, some threat or some danger or some condition in your outer world through your senses is changing how you feel in your inner world. And the quotient of change between the way you normally feel in some alarm state, when you change your internal state and move into that emergency mode, you narrow your focus on the cause, and the brain freezes an image and takes a snapshot, and that's called a long-term memory. And now that image is branded holographically into the brain. So then we remember experiences better because we can remember how they feel, and that memory then changes the person's biology. So they think neurologically within the circuits of that experience, and they feel chemically within the boundaries of those emotions, and how we think and feel becomes our state of being. Mm-hmm. So now the person biologically is changed, and many times it's the strong emotion that begins to select and instruct the gene that creates disease. Why?
Yeah.
Because if the environment signals the gene, and that's a truth, that's epigenetics, and the end product of an experience in the environment is an emotion, the emotion that you feel from that event is literally selecting the gene for you to begin to change. And the genes make proteins. And so the person, if it's strong enough, begins to wear their trauma, not just in their brain. Now it's in their body, because every time they think about that trauma, every time they review it, every time they keep creating the imagery, they keep firing and wiring the circuits in their brain, and they keep feeling the feeling emotionally in their body. And their body is so objective that it's believing it's living in the same past experience 50 to 100 times a day. And all you need is a stimulus and a response, an image and an emotion, a thought and a feeling, and you're conditioning the body into the past. Well, you're conditioning the brain and body into the past.
And it doesn't matter if the actual event happened to you or not, because if you have the image, what I'm hearing you say, it's still going to connect to the body. So like what's happening right now is people are consuming probably more than 50, 100 pieces of media talking about trauma in the world right now.
Right.
Is that causing more physical damage on our bodies without actually having it physically hurt us?
Well, let me finish that thought, and
yes,
then we can answer that question.
Mind-blowing.
So then you asked, is it possible then that people can heal that quickly in 1 week? Yeah, because what if they create an inner event that carries an amplitude of gratitude or joy or freedom, break through from the chains of the past, and when the body is liberated and you feel that elevated emotion, the stronger the emotion you feel from that breakthrough, the more you're going to pay attention to the image in your mind. And now you're beginning to brand new circuitry in the brain, and your body's being conditioned into a new future. And the stronger the emotion you feel, and the more you pay attention to the picture, the more you're conditioning the body over time to the future instead of the past. So now you keep knocking on that genetic door emotionally, then that emotion ultimately signals a new gene that upregulates that gene to produce better proteins. And the person then all of a sudden starts healing. And we have research to show that people can do that in 4 days, signal genes to reduce cancer cells and growth, to signal stem cells to suppress, to go to active tissues and repair them and regenerate them and suppress inflammation. We have research to show that you could change the number of brain cells you have just by doing this properly. And so now all of a sudden, a person starts changing.
In 4 days,
yeah,
you can start to reverse some of the damage you've done in your body, depending on the degree of damage, it sounds like. But in 4 days, by simply replacing the imagery, the visualization, the acknowledgement to a different emotion, an emotion of joy, gratitude, peace, perspective, acceptance. I'm assuming these things.
A vision of your future.
A vision of what you want that's positive,
future,
as opposed to a vision that is tied to a negative event of the past over and over every single moment of the day. Your body will start to heal, your immune system will start to heal, and you'll start to shift your genes.
Gene expression, absolutely.
What's the difference between gene expression and just genes?
Well, you come with a lot of genes, and they're just a library of potentials. They're just a storehouse of information, of possibilities. So then you got to get the right signal, the right lock into the key that begins to select and instruct genes that cause genes to make different proteins. And you can regulate so many different genes, the same genes, you can regulate them differently. So when they upregulate, they start producing really healthy and robust proteins. And that's enzymes, that's tissue, that's structure, that's function, that's hormones. It's immunoglobulins. When they downregulate because of some alarm, when there's not a lot of energy for long-term building projects, well, then you keep doing that, then the body starts producing cheaper proteins. It's a different signal. It's not a time for growth. And so now to answer your other question, then it makes sense then that if you have been if you had experience of trauma, say, for example, and it's created the feeling of fear, and your fear is that it could happen again. And you don't know this, but every time you think about that future, that possible worst case scenario, and you feel the emotion, you're conditioning your body to become the mind subconsciously of anxiety. So now, all you need now is some cue in your outer environment that says it's unsafe, that there's damage there, that you're a victim, something's bigger than you that could have an effect on you. Well, now that feeling of fear is going to cause you to think thoughts equal to it. So the person then no longer needs the environment to feel that fear. They just have the thought about that condition now. And now they're literally knocking their brain and body out of balance by thought alone. And the body's constantly living in emergency mode. And it takes a lot of energy, a lot of resources to live in emergency mode all the time. And guess what system becomes compromised by it?
Immune system.
Your immune system. Why? Because you have two protection systems. You got a system that protects you from dangers in your outer world. That's the gas pedal. That's the sympathetic nervous system. That's the fight or flight nervous system. Danger, threat out there. Use all the energy because you got to survive. And when you survive, you got to take care of your body. So So now that system can work really well short term. It doesn't work really well if you keep it on all the time. Because if you're mobilizing all that energy for some threat in your outer world, there's no energy in your inner world for growth and repair. There's no energy for long-term building projects. And energy leaves the brain and it leaves the heart and it moves into these lower centers because...
Okay, what did y'all think? Listen, it was getting good, right? It was getting good, and don't worry, because we will be back with another episode that's going to finish off that conversation, because he was getting right into the nitty gritty. Okay, so he talked about how you have long-term memory is your brain takes a snapshot of an event, and depending on what emotions you have with that can affect you in your body, right? But the memory, it goes along with your biology. So he said a person begins to wear their trauma. Did you know that? That you start wearing your trauma where it affects different parts of your system, your your emotional system, your psychological system, your makeup, your genes, right? All of those things get affected just based off of stuff that you went through. Crazy. But it's all connected. So don't think just because you're healthy physically that you're healthy emotionally, mentally, and all those things, because you could be a wreck and still have health issues even though you're eating well. So remember that. There are many people who have had unexplained health issues, been healthy all their lives, but because they didn't deal with their emotional and mental traumas, their bodies are a wreck. All right, so don't knock taking care of those other bodies that you have, emotional, spiritual, mental bodies, along with the physical bodies. All right, so living in a past experience can do some numbers on you, right? Because it needs a stimulus and a response. And so if you have the image, it'll still connect with those emotions that you have unless you do something to change it. So you can reverse the damage in your body by changing the emotions that are attached to different events, having a vision of your future, that gene expression, which is like regulating your genes, and how it takes a lot of energy to be in emergency mode and it affects your immune system. So all of it, like I said, is connected. All right. And the podcast that we were listening to was School of Greatness. They have a great platform. So if you have not, check them out because they do some great work on there. They have some great people who are in tune with their process, in tune with their purpose, and they give you the game based on what they know and what they've experienced. All right, but can we heal ourselves? Absolutely. But how we go about it is something that's you have to figure out what's best for you. Everything doesn't work for everybody, but you have to know yourself and you have to spend time with yourself enough to know what needs to change and what needs to stay the same, what needs to be tweaked a little bit, what you need to let go of, right? Something that I've heard before is anxiety is looking too far into the future and grief is holding on too much of the past. Being in the present is the best thing that you could do, but you have to learn how to live in the moment and how to disassociate some emotions from the events that you might have went through, the things that you're trying to heal from. You can't look at it the same way or have those same feelings about it if you want to move forward. All right, so thank you so much for tuning into another episode. This is part 3. We got another part coming up. We might have to do a couple parts for this episode because this topic is so important and so necessary because we are all on that healing journey. No one is completely healed of anything. And if they tell you that, they ain't telling you the truth now. All right, but make sure to take time to heal from the inside because there's a lot of stuff that we all have going on that we don't share with others. You don't have to share everything, but do the work so that you can get better. Because we want to get better. All right. We want you all to get better. And there's nothing like doing the work and seeing the process. Don't let anything step in your way. We have all gone through some level of hurt, some level of pain that we thought that we couldn't get through and we got through it. So don't forget that when you go through something. All right. Well, that's all the time that we have for you today. So I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you got something from this. Come back for our part 4 because we're definitely going to have one to finish up that conversation to know how we can heal ourselves. All right. So tune in next time. And until then, have an amazing day and an awesome rest of your week. Intelexx here, and welcome to Intelexx Artrepreneur Agency, the Indeed for Artists. If you want to be a part of the intellectual community, check us out. We have so much going on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and everywhere in between. And we even got our own app, okay? So make sure to check us out. Go to Intelexx.com. Go to our link tree. Look us up on social media at Intelexx APC so that we can best serve you. All right, we thank you so much for being a part of our vision. You know, we appreciate you, and we wouldn't be here without all of our amazing subscribers and supporters. Don't forget to sign up for the talent show every month, and someone always leaves with a prize. And don't forget to take advantage of all of our special offers, our events, our merch, our resources, our referrals, because we are here to serve you, okay? And thank you for the love. Until next time.